You know, when you look at the work of other editors, you know, what in your mind makes for a great editor? What do you appreciate about other editors' work that like just leaps out at you when you see a film?
Well, I'm sitting actually next to two great editors, and it's actually like I've seen David's Some Kind of Monster. It's amazing. It's about Metallica, and it's not about concert film. It's something else, and just the little nuggets. You know what I enjoy is the little nuggets. That every moment there's something offering you, and I just see those great moments.
I think what makes us good at what we do is that we're storytellers and we're story fans, and as such, you know, I like to be immersed in the story. If I'm not, then maybe I'm noticing things. But in general, editing is a really hard thing to see, and the kind of work that we do, and many of you know it, is sort of invisible.
I think that there's some films I see and I'm just sort of like knocked out, but sometimes, you know, it's really difficult to know who edits what. I mean, like even in this film, Gerrymandering, you know, Jeff came in at some point and he would retool some things, and he brought some nice touches to some of the scenes I had cut 6 or 7 times. But every once in a while you'll see a film and you'll say, man, who did that? I mean, I showed one of my classes 2 weeks ago, the Patti Smith documentary, and I don't even like Patti Smith, right? But I love that film. I mean, I just thought the editing, and Angelo Guerrero did that, and I said, man, Angelo, you know, he's like done 2 of my favorite all-time documentaries, but Let's Get Lost and Chet Baker. I mean, there's such imagination there that you can see that in that process, which probably took a long time, and going through so many footage. But I said, what's always interesting about editing is when you look at footage and you think, well, who in the world would have cut that in there? You know, he had a scene in that Patti Smith film of some dogs in Santa Monica, and it was just some dog shots. But in his hands, it was magical. It was absolutely magical, and that to me is wonderful editing.
Can I just plug actually Doug's film? 51 Bird Street is brilliant. It's, you know, and also
you can plug it. Go ahead.
And actually, I don't even know the editor for kids.
Maeve O'Boyle, who worked with David on left of the dial.
Yeah. But what I love about the film is, I'm sure it's both the editor's, you know, contribution, is breaking the chronology. Mm-hmm. I just thought that was so brilliantly done. It's whenever you go to a new scene, there's a reason for going there.
I was taught that that, you know, I was the second director, you know, and I take that very seriously.
Well, does it bother you that you don't get co-director credit on some of these films?
I'm never bothered by it because at the end of the day, you know, listen, it's going to be the director's vision.
I mean, you guys who are out there putting it on your credit cards, you know, that merits great respect. I mean, it's not easy to know, and especially in documentaries on like a feature, again, you don't know where you're going necessarily. Best laid plans, you have an idea for something, but to sort of pick, and Doug could speak more to what a director has to do, the decisions you have to make with difficult budgets, right? I mean, that's got to be, I never deal with that. You know, I'm paid, I go to work, I go home.
And I have a lot of respect for directors who really went bankrupt for their films. I'm serious, actually. I have tremendous respect for those people because I don't have that kind of courage. And they really meant, you know, that I work with film that's just, I don't know why I'm working on it sometimes, but there are times I'm so happy to be part of this film, and that's actually my, you know, my gratification.
When I'm sitting in front of that footage, to me it's not about power, it's about responsibility. It's responsibility to the material, and to try to be, you know, responsibility I have to the people that have been interviewed or the verite footage that I'm watching, and to try to bring an honesty to it, you know, in terms of understanding what these people are giving me, and not, you know, I'm not here to judge people, you know, that's not my job. My job is within that material, find those elements and find those pieces in the interview that I think are going to help me tell my story. Now, that doesn't mean that sometimes the director won't come in and say, I want to point it to another different direction. Now, then my job is to sort of resist that and challenge the director's motivations, or then to try those changes and see how it impacts on the whole story or the sequence.
to me, that first initial viewing of raw footage is the most precious because it's the only time I'll ever see something for the first time. And so my reaction to that is critical and precious. And a magical thing happens after you screen what you've now selected. You suddenly see connections and magical flow that you can use to create the film. It speaks to you in ways that raw footage doesn't. And that's when I like to get directors involved, because I like to screen selects with them and talk about what we like and we don't like. And remarkably, we tend to pick the same things.
When you work on a film long enough, you know if the film works or not. It's oftentimes, actually, I find myself when we have screens when the film's not working. And like Sam says, about 3 to 5 people, mostly editors, directors, film people.
Screening's an incredible thing, because it's I don't know what the magic of it is. Somehow you morph emotions from people. You get it out of them in ways and things that don't work silently, in ways that it doesn't have to be a comedy necessarily, but you feel it. You know it's wrong, and you've seen it 1,000 times, and yet you see it with different eyes when you see it with an audience. So for me, I like to see it with all the above.